we're really trying to get your membership to take that type of challenge on.
Just have
people hitting balls at other members, trying to hit it over their head.
I've never swung a club with the golf ball aimed to go over somebody's head, because that's the one time you'll just bone the thing right into their skull. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hole in One Show podcast. I am your host, Dave Schultz. After a 1-week break, we decided to keep going. Met with Steve Hallstrom, and I just said, this is too much fun not to keep going. And we took a 1-week break, and we're back, and our plan is to do it every single week going forward. We'll film it midweek, and it will go live on Fridays at noon. Thank you to all of you who have reached out and said that you enjoy this. It is really fun to do. There's no reason not to. If we can do it in the busy season at the FCC when the golf course is on, hey, you know what? Maybe we'll do 2 shows. Maybe we'll do 2 shows come winter. But this has been awesome. And, we have a lot to talk about this month. August is championship season. It is back to school season near the end of the month. But before that, it is club championship season at the Fargo Country Club. We've got ladies stroke play championship, the couples club championship, which is fondly dubbed as the Divorce Open because it's alternate shot. The club championships, Josh Persons is our defending champion. And we are going to talk about that through this month. And also, bookending this month is the North Dakota Open. We host the North Dakota Open at the end of the month. It is a tournament that has been going on for over 40 years. It's raised over $1 million for charity. It's going to attract some of the best pros in the mini tour level. And we're going to get some of those guys on to talk some professional golf and the road to what they hope is the PGA Tour. So plenty to touch on this month, and it's just great to have you along. So on the last segment, on the last podcast, we had Evan Booth. Evan works with us at the FCC, won the North Dakota State match play, and he's committed to go play at the University of Mary in Bismarck. And one of those folks who's reached out and said, nice job, great to have the pod. Hey, thanks for having Evan on, was his coach, his soon-to-be coach, Laif Olson, the head coach of the University of Mary. And we welcome him to the show right now. Laif, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to this.
Well, let's start with your background. How did you become the coach at the University of Mary, and anything else you want to share?
Well, I was an insurance agent from 1987 to, and I was planning and did retire April of 2022.
That didn't last long.
3 months. No, it just most of all my life, I guess. But just before I was retiring, the position for the men's golf coach at the University of Mary became open.
Sure. And
Tim Doppler, who manages Riverwood and Pebble Creek and Tom O'Leary in Bismarck, and also the North Dakota Golf Association.
He has a lot on his plate.
Recommended me.
Yes.
He's got a lot. He does a lot of great things for golf in our state, for sure. Busy guy. And he recommended me to the athletic department at the University of Mary. The then athletic director, Dale Lennon, called me, and I went out for an interview. And they offered me the job, and my wife thought I should do it, and I did too. So
cool.
I took the position.
Cool.
And then, and I retired from my job. My wife retired last spring from 30-some years of being an English teacher at Bismarck High. So we're entering our retirement life, and I hope to do this for several years.
That's neat. So she's the assistant coach, is what you're saying.
She's the assistant coach. I think my brother thinks he's the assistant coach. I don't know. My brother and I joke, what did we talk about before I became the golf coach at University of Mary? Because all we talk about now, my brother Kirk and I, is the men's golf team at the University of Mary.
Why not? Why not? What a dream retirement job, right? You leave the working world, and now you get to work with these young kids coming out of college, bright-eyed, wanting to compete at the college level. Yeah. That's got to be something special for you.
Dave, it has been so enjoyable.
Yeah.
The guys I have on my team, they're really good to me. They're really good to each other. They're good students. Our grade point last spring, we led the school. We were 377, our grade point. And, they're not taking all the easy stuff. We got a couple engineers and math majors and all kinds of stuff. And they're working hard. They're nice guys. We've just had a blast. And I've been able to do a little recruiting and I have 5 new freshmen coming in and 1 transfer student. And I happen to be playing with some recruits today up at Hawktree right now. So
Excellent.
I took a little break and talked to you for a while, and I'll get back to those guys. So
good.
It's been a joy.
Thanks for making time. So let's talk about recruiting. What is it like? Where do you get your kids from, and what's it like bringing kids to Bismarck? They've got to obviously love the facility. It's tough to beat Hawktree, but talk about recruiting a little bit.
Yeah, we do. We get treated really well by the golf community in Bismarck. The Bismarck Park District, Tim Doppler in the Bismarck Park District is so generous with us, and the folks at Hawktree are really, really generous with us, and so our support is great, and that goes with the golf dome during the winter. That's a Park District property, and we use that during the winter, which has been very good. The kids I have coming in I've got 3 of them coming from the Fargo-Moorhead area. I have 1 coming from Minneapolis, and I have 1 coming from Bismarck. And they've been playing really well this summer. They play in a ton of tournaments, and I think we're going to have a big fall, and really looking forward to it. Hope to give these kids a lot of opportunity to play golf, have some fun, have a good experience, meet some lifelong friends.
It's what it's all about. It's what it's all about.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
You bring these kids in. Actually, let's talk about recruiting. And when you go out and watch a kid play or talk with their parents, what are you looking for? What is the first thing you're looking for? There's going to be some kids that are coming through the ranks that are going to be in earshot of this podcast. What is a college golf coach at a high level looking for?
One thing, you know what they shoot because you can follow their scores.
Sure.
And so you know what kind of golfer they are even before you see them swing the club for the first time. So their scores kind of, especially their tournament scores, tell the story of what kind of a player they are and, what they're most likely going to be in college. Really what you're trying to find out when you meet with them is what kind of person they are.
Mm-hmm.
You want them, my guys have been so good on the team, and I want to keep that going. I want this to be fun. I feel I owe it to my existing guys.
Sure. Culture.
To continue to bring in, good people that are, you spend a lot of time with these folks. We travel a lot.
Yeah.
And we're on the far western edge of the Northern Sun Conference with about 5 schools in Minnesota and a couple in South Dakota, and then us in Minot State out here. So when we travel, we're driving a ways.
Sure.
And, we want to have a good experience. We want to have a lot of fun. We want to support each other. And so really what you're trying to find out is, are they good people? Are they going to be good students? Are they going to represent the University of Merriwell and each other on the team? You show up at one of these tournaments and you got a bus that says University of Mary on it, and it's blue and orange, and you pour out of the bus wearing blue and orange. So it's obvious where you're coming from.
They know where you're from. That's right.
Yeah. So there's no hiding.
Yep. No, and team golf, college golf, it doesn't get any better. If you go on, even if you're playing tournaments in your home, even the tournaments at the club level their team events are a lot more fun than the individual events, and that just shows, the team aspect is
right.
Is where it's what it's all about. It's the prime of life to be able to play college golf. Now, I suppose that if you see, in a way, if you're seeing these scores from these kids and you go watch them, and they may have interest in University of Mary, you kind of, if I was a coach, I'd kind of want to see some adversity, right? When you're recruiting these kids, you want to see some adversity. Right. Okay, how did you handle that terrible double? What did you do the next hole? Did you throw your club?
Exactly.
Or did you just kind of buck up and go to the next hole and try and hit the fairway? I assume that you're looking for all sorts of things like that.
That's right. Dave, perfect what you're saying. One of these young guys playing today was not playing very well, and he kind of kept fighting and kept playing and kept having fun and kept being a good member of the foursome,
Yeah.
And he just made about 4 or 5 pars in a row, and he's back at it, and it tells you a lot of what kind of teammate that young guy would be.
Sure.
no doubt he'd be a wonderful teammate.
You bet. So what do kids who are interested in playing, what do they need to know about University of Mary? You're starting your second year in the role. What do they need to know about school? If you're recruiting a kid over the airways right now, what would you like to say?
I'm new at Mary, so I kind of feel I kind of have a outside view of what the University of Mary is like. All that I've experienced is that the instructors, the staff, everybody out there, people in the missions department, everybody is really dedicated to the mission of the University of Mary, which is kind of the a way. The mission is to produce young people ready to have a successful life, not just in business, but faith-based, spiritually, that they go out and they serve their community and are good citizens. That's what we're trying to do at Mary. And we're a smaller school.
How many kids?
About 3,750, right in there.
Okay.
And we keep a good, close eye on these folks. If they come to school and they have a 3.5 grade point in high school, and they're 2.5 grade point after a couple months, they're not going to be forgotten. They're going to be talked to. It's going to be addressed. They're going to be tutored. They're going to be watched, and they're going to make sure they don't fall through the cracks. And we're trying our best to bring these kids in as freshmen and keep them all 4 years, that they're lifetime good alumni and good representatives afterwards of our school.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, Laif, they're lucky to have you. And even just the last podcast, Evan had nothing but great things to say. Communication and you definitely have him. He's excited to come play golf, and he's playing well. You got to love freshmen who are coming in hot.
Well.
I did want to get to this. What do you do for qualifying? You've got 5 coming in, and you obviously have some players returning. What are you going to do for qualifying?
Right.
You don't only take 5 to a tournament. So are you a coach that goes strictly off a score in qualifying, or do you do low 3 and pick 2? A lot of coaches, college coaches, do it differently.
We're just starting to talk about that.
Okay.
I don't have an exact plan, but we are going to have some type of a competition, at least for some of the spots in our first tournament. Our first tournament is in Bemidji. Great golf course, the Bemidji Town and Country Club. I'm sure you've been there, Dave.
The Birchmont.
And we're looking forward to that. We only have 5 spots in that tournament. Our other tournaments, we have 10 spots in, and so we're going to bring 2 5-man teams to each tournament. And the guys want to be on the A team, but we're trying to give those on the B team the same experience.
Sure.
And not sit the bench the whole year and not get to play, but a lot of opportunity to play golf. And experience that team element, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
It is it's too good not to be a part of it.
Right.
It's so good.
And I'll just give you my experience. I spent 1 year at Colorado State, and it was like a low 4, pick 1, and usually you'd always would take the 5th score, but not always. And then I transferred down to TCU, and Coach Monagel, hand it to him. He was there for 40 years. When I was there, he had been there for 20 years. And he was like, look, we've got 15 guys on this team. We're a top 10 program. I'm going to give you as many qualifying rounds as I possibly can. And I'm going to get out of the way, and you're going to turn your scorecard in, and the low 5 go. And we had a guy, Adam Rubinson, who was going to be on the Walker Cup team when I came in there my sophomore year. He had no freebies. He had to go out and earn it. Now, Coach Monagel, he had 7.5 rounds. It was 15 9-hole rounds for qualifying. So it was like you couldn't fake it through 15 9-hole rounds.
No.
And the low 5 guys went, and that competition, I mean, by the time we got to the golf tournament, it was like relaxing. Because the last thing you want to do is not travel. And so we went through all that pressure and all that work to get on the traveling team. And once you're on the plane, you're like, okay, now if I top 20 in the tournament, I'm going to earn my way into the next tournament. If I top 10 in the tournament, I'm going to get 2 tournaments. And if I win, I'm going to get the rest of that season. So he did a nice job of structuring it and just being really straightforward on, look, you come in and you earn what you get. And if you had a great year last year, hey, the world of professional golf is what have you done for me lately? And he built he built that in us at a in our middle of our college years. And so it's pretty interesting. It's great. That competition inside the team can be really, really motivating and really improve the players.
Right. Yeah. And I've talked to a lot of the coaches in our conference, and we got some long time experienced guys who coach in the Northern Sun Conference. And I'm trying to pick some ideas from that I think make sense from one team and make sense from another coach and things like that.
Sure.
And have a way of, those that finish in the top 25 or, things like you're saying, Dave, have a free ride to the next tournament or maybe more than another tournament, but still give those who weren't on the top 5 or the top 10 a chance to compete and play for a spot the next week, So we're going to iron that out, and I want it nice and public and out in the open of so that what you need to do to get on the bus and get to go to a tournament.
You got it. Well, Coach Olson, I'll let you get back to your guys at Hawk Tree. Thanks for taking time today. It was great to have you on the show.
My pleasure.
And best of luck this fall and spring.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for everything you're doing for golf in North Dakota, Dave. It's and it was a pleasure to be on your show. So
you got it. Thanks a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Good deal. Thanks,
talk
Dave.
to you. You bet.
Bye now.
Okay, folks. Now in our second segment, we've got Dan Hersch. He used to be the Tour Edge rep, and now he's moved over to Srixon Cleveland. Let's talk about the golf business a little bit and what he does day in, day out as a tour rep for one of these companies. We'll be right back after this.
Any bank can tell you they have a rock-solid commitment to agriculture. Bell can prove it. To this day, every Bell Bank branch is partially built with rocks we've picked from our founder's farm. But our roots in ag have grown more than a few offices. They've shaped who we are and formed our entire approach to banking. Let us prove it to you as you grow your farm and prepare your legacy for the next generation. Bell Bank, committed to ag.
Golf to me is patience.
It's weird to say, but golf is life.
It is. It's the ultimate game of life.
It's an individual sport.
You have to put in a lot of work to get minimally better. And that's kind of the beauty of it. You come back to improve.
That's why I love golf, is just every shot is different.
That next round, that next shot, it could be that start of a story.
I don't even want to say a game. It's more than a game.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Laif Olson. What good insight from a college golf coach, University of Mary in Bismarck. Really good insight of what they're looking for and these high school players coming up the ranks. And really cool story that Laif retired from the business world, is now new endeavor as the head golf coach. And it sounds like they are building quite the culture at University of Mary. And I'm excited for him and all the other players on the team and our own Evan Booth heading over to Bismarck. Now I'd like to welcome in a man who's our Srixon Cleveland rep. He used to be with Tour Edge. His name is Dan Hersch. And I thought it was interesting. We saw him at the golf course this week, and it's like, you got to be on the pod. I mean, you're going to different golf courses around the region. You're obviously selling Srixon and Cleveland things, clubs and golf balls, Srixon balls. What's the golf business from your perspective? And what are you trying to accomplish when you're coming into the golf club and trying to help these pros, sell product and get it into players' hands? And why is your product better than others? So with no further ado, Dan Hersch, welcome to the Hole in One Show.
Hey, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate you having me on, and excited to be here.
You bet.
Excited to talk about Cleveland Srixon and all that good stuff.
Before that, let's talk about you. Talk about your journey getting to be a regional Srixon Cleveland rep.
Yeah, so I'm a local Lincoln, Nebraska kid. Grew up in Nebraska, went to high school in Lincoln. From there, went down south to Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas. Played Division II golf there for 4 years for the Ichabods. From there, just kept moving south. Lived in Dallas for a number of 12 years.
Okay.
and met a Minnesota girl down there. And as they say in Minnesota, once that happens, you're pretty much guaranteed to live the rest of your adult life in Minnesota. So,
well, that's funny. We're similar then. We're similar. I was living in Fort Worth. I met my wife. She was a beverage cart driver at Maple River Golf Club, and here we go. We live in Mapleton. That's how that works, right?
That's exactly how that works, man. So moved from beautiful sunny Dallas up to the frozen tundra of the Twin Cities back in 2019.
Okay.
Really right before COVID went into place, and I honestly was been a journeyman in sales and came from the software sales industry and moved up with my job, and obviously a lifelong golfer, and through COVID and things like that, just really wanted to get out and about, wanted to establish myself locally. I also took on some other things locally within the golf industry, and eventually landed on my feet with Tour Edge, which was a great organization, worked for a couple of years, great products, incredible junior set offerings and everything like that. And I guess the natural progression of our industry is to move up, if you will, to more of a tour brand. So fortunately, a couple months ago, I had an interview with Cleveland Srixon. They decided I was the guy, and now I'm covering the west half of Minnesota and the Dakotas, and get to work with guys like yourself.
Excellent. Now I've got a question I get all the time. Every year, every 2 years, depending on the life cycle of this a company's driver, it is the latest and greatest. It goes another 40 yards. I mean, what's the deal here? Is this really better technology, or is this marketing campaign? Like, shoot us straight here. Shoot those watching this pod straight. Is this the latest and greatest driver, or is this just the next one?
The tech is 1,000% real, and it's there to help not only the tour players, but the everyday avid golfer. The technology behind it, with the new mainframe, the rebound face, everything is there to really gain distance, lower the spin, get those launch numbers optimal, and get guys hitting it further than they ever have before.
So when you go and do a fitting, you've done fittings when you were with Tour Edge before, you're getting these guys on track, these guys and gals on track, man, correct?
Correct. Yep. When I was with Tour Edge, I was using a GC quad, but now using TrackMan.
Okay. How many fittings are you doing a week?
Typically, I'm doing somewhere between 4 and 12, just depending on the appointments. I know that's kind of a random spread, but
sure.
During the peak of demo season, it's a minimum of 10 to 15 fittings a week.
Yeah. So when you talk about the peak of demo season, because really, I would imagine for you in this part of the country, it is that March, April, and May. I mean, the excitement for getting out. Everybody wants a shiny new toy before the snow melts, right? I would imagine April, May, or March, April, May is really big for you.
It's so funny that way. Living in Texas, there's not a peak season, if you will. It's just year-round. People are going. Actually, the optimal time, as you know, being down there for a while, is October. But yeah, for as little a season, or I want to call it a short window of season up here, the people absolutely love the game.
Yeah.
They love new equipment. And so to your point, March, April, May, and even into June up here, it's just every day, all day. And
I would say up here, I've been doing this in the role I am for like 7 years, and I would say that it's a little bit more leveled out now because there's a lot more golf happening in the winter, and you can fit people in the winter in simulators and get perfect numbers. And especially if it's something off a tee, it's going to be the same off a tee, inside or outside. So, I mean, I feel like we're doing more fittings over the winter, and it's kind of evening out a bit.
You're hitting it right on the head, man. We have seen such an increase in our winter fittings, and we're fortunate enough to have new product launch between Cleveland and Srixon every other year, so that over the winter, we can really go into the places with simulators and get some really early great feedback and get that buzz going through the new year, so that by the time March hits, we're ready to rock. So you're absolutely right.
Now, I got to tell you a funny story, and I saw a wedge today when you were in. My dad, this wedge was called the XE1 wedge. I don't know if you remember this. XE1 wedge. And I'm telling you, the bottom of this wedge was literally as wide as your palm. It was unbelievable, and he loved it so much. And this was just crazy when my dad told me he sat on the phone with this phone rep for over an hour talking about this XE1 wedge that he saw on the internet. And so he got the 56, the 60, and the 64. I mean, he was almost hitting himself in the chin. and he was loving these things, and he called them the internet sensations. And so he forgot his wedge one day during the North Dakota Open, and I had to run it to him. He's like, I can't play golf without my internet sensation. So I bring that up because I saw these wedges that you have, and I think Cleveland started this before anybody else. A really, really wide sole, and that obviously helps those who have tough time around the green, and especially out of the bunker. I mean, if he got in the bunker, he'd be there for 5 days. He was getting out of the bunker with this wide-soled wedge. Talk about that a little bit. That really seems to help the newer golfers.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dave. So really where it starts for us is we don't want to pigeonhole somebody into, say, a 56 like we did in the old days, or just having a sand wedge in the bag. And I challenge you in the same regard to try to tell me an innovation in the wedge world that Cleveland isn't responsible for. But without getting into that, we've designed a new set of clubs. They actually is the second iteration, called the Smart Sole. What the Smart Sole wedge system is designed for is it starts with a chipper, and these things are gapped out at 8 degrees. So starting at 42 degrees, we have a chipper, goes up to the gap at 50, sand wedge at 58, and then we got this beautiful square face 64-degree lob wedge for your everyday guy,
just
for your dad.
Bring the rain, just vertical, straight up.
It's awesome. So really what we're trying to do is challenge people. You've seen Phil hit it over people's head, standing like 4 feet in front of them. We're really trying to get your membership to take that type of challenge on.
Just have
people hitting balls at other members, trying to hit it over their head.
Hey, try
and
this.
That's how this. No.
Like I've never swung a club with the golf ball aimed to go over somebody's head, because that's the one time you'll just bone the thing right into their skull. So I would not suggest that. Tongue in cheek, right? Tongue in cheek. We're not going to try that, even though it's a 64 degree.
No, we're not trying that.
Yeah.
But this thing is designed, to your point, nobody's having to now open up a wedge and get uncomfortable and lift up that leading edge of their wedge. It's standard at 64 to help somebody get it up, get that sole through the rough or through the bunker easily, get the height. Once they see that height of a chip shot, holy moly. And
they feel like they feel like they have a chance. They feel like they have a chance around the greens if they can get some elevated a little bit. I mean, most of the people you give lessons to, and I'm sure a lot of the folks that you fit, they want to see the ball airborne. They want to see the ball
100%.
They want to see the ball airborne. They don't want to see one grounder, and if they hit a good one and it's not in the window they want to see, they're going to move on to something else. They want to get that ball up in the air. I don't care what company you're working for. Every single rep is trying to help people get the ball in the air.
Exactly. And to your point, we've done a couple other things to really help people out with the tech. So you may or may not have heard of Zipcore. It came out in our last wedges. But what Zipcore does is it takes a bunch of the weight out of the hosel and redistributes it out towards the toe, because in the previous world, wedges, the sweet spot's right in the heel, right? But we want people to be comfortable hitting it out on the toe but not lose the performance of the club. So a couple of things we did. We put Zipcore into all our wedges to help move that center of gravity out towards the toe. We've also made most all of our new wedges full face. And that's intentional for a couple of reasons. The public asks for it. They want full face. They want to be able to play it out on the toe. I know.
Really?
It's amazing.
I'm sorry. I'll be honest with you. I see the grooves all over the face. I'm like, what? I'm not going to hit it over there on the face, but they're asking for it, huh?
But it's not for you and I. That's the beauty of this thing, right? We've maybe graduated from that, but there's still a guy that doesn't necessarily hit the sweet spot, and we don't want them to lose that performance.
I gotcha. Well, I remember the old, the old Ping eyes. Remember that those were full face grooves, weren't they?
Full face.
Yes, they were. They were well ahead of their time. Well, Dan, I appreciate you. You are. I know you haven't been with Srixon in Cleveland very long, but you are schooled up, man. You are ready to go, and I really love having you stop by the golf shop. And I know you're working with all the pros in the area, and you're doing a great job. And I appreciate you being on the show. And thanks for doing all you do for golfers in this area.
Dave, this was awesome. I appreciate you having me on. It's really a blessing, and I wish you guys the best going forward.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
All right, folks, thanks for being with us. That was a lot of fun. Laif Olson, Dan Hersch, some good background on college golf coaching, and then the industry in general, and some technical things about clubs and golf balls. Really good insight, and we're thrilled that you joined us, and we'll see you next week.